headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.
Now, first of all, the regional accents. You know, we saw yesterday a story where some people were telling teachers you shouldn't be giving people a hard time for mispronouncing words. So now it doesn't matter if you spell them wrong, doesn't matter if your grammar's rubbish. If you actually say the word wrong now, you shouldn't be criticised at school because you might just have an accent.
Yeah, I was saying last night that if this instruction had been passed on to my mother when I was born, she'd have had nothing to do throughout my childhood because all she ever did was correct my pronunciation, correct my grammar, and don't say that and don't say it like that. You sound like a Cockney. All this kind of stuff. It's basically that kind of urge on the part of parents who are being told not to correct their children, I think is sort of aspirational. You know, that this idea that these Essex University academics have said that it's fine to say axe instead of ask.
It isn't.
It's fine to say ain't instead of is not. That's all very well, but when you send these kids into job interviews and they start talking like that, in the real world, I'm afraid it's a no-no. They won't get the damn job. So thanks very much for your input, boffins from Essex University, but you stay up there in Essex and we'll stay in the real world.
Yes, I'm not sure they've got any real boffins at Essex University. And I mean, do they speak estuary English in Essex University or do they allow any sort of English?
Well, they probably do. And don't forget, Essex University, if you're trying to put it down, that's where John Burko went. No,
for heaven's sake, listen, far be it from me to have a go at Essex. It's a very fine county. But, I mean, there's no question that you and I have met people over the years, Kevin, who have, without question, put their accents on and pretended to be either posher than they were or, in some cases, less posh than they actually were.
Yeah, I mean, but there is something about that. There is, you know, people do adapt their accents to whatever situation they are in, however sort of small they do that, but they do it. And that's because accents do matter. And I'm afraid that people are judgmental and you have to deal with that. I'm afraid if you walk in for an interview for a job to become, I don't know, a sort of top accountant, someone in the city or a doctor or whatever, and you start talking like that, you know, you might not be nice. I don't think we should judge people because they talk like that. But if they do, they're going to encounter problems. That is the real world for you. People judge you according to the way you speak.
Yes, there is always going to be that. Is that a particularly English thing, do you think, though? I mean, they do it in America as well, don't they? I mean, people from the South, the southern states who have that kind of country drawl, you know, they're immediately considered by people in the northern parts of the country to be thick.
Well, yeah, it's not just a British thing. It's all over the world. In fact, we're one of the very few countries where the rich, prosperous and mainly middle class live in the south. In most countries, it's in the north. And the people with the rural accents do tend to be looked down upon by those who live in the cities, the metropolitan elites, if you like. Again, I'm not approving of this. I think it's totally wrong. You shouldn't judge people by their accents, but you do. And the peculiar aspect of British life is, and you know what I'm talking about, Mike, and everyone who's listening or watching this will secretly agree with me. Every time you meet anyone in Britain, you make an immediate assessment, and that's based on their accent, their clothes, the way they deport themselves, you know, and what we all do. We can't help it. It's in the British DNA. Yeah. We go working class, middle class, upper middle class, upper class. Right. That's what we do. That's just what we do. And if you try to ignore that and you send your kid out saying ain't and axe, then your kid's not going to do very well in life. I'm sorry to say it, but it's a fact.
I mean, that's absolutely true. Also in the jobs market as well. I mean, there are kids, I mean, I take to my own kids, you know, there is this kind of trend for this kind of slight patois to be spoken now, certainly in parts of South London, where the kids are walking around going like this and like that in it, you know, like this, you know, and you're going, sorry mate, that's not going to help you get a job anywhere unless you're going to be joining a drug gang somewhere, you know, but they think it's trendy, so they do it.
Yes, and it has now become a kind of almost generic youthful accent, certainly in around the home counties in the south of London. Like most kids seem to speak in that kind of weird Caribbean patois, which is fine, but it won't do you much good when you get up the ladder towards becoming a captain of industry or a lawyer. I mean, you just can't go into a court of this land and say, ladies and gentlemen, the jury, he's innocent, he my client, in it. You can't do it. It's not going to work.
It really isn't. Although maybe you can still get a job with the police as long as you don't mind driving too fast in a car.
Oh, God, this is ridiculous. The report saying that all these new recruits, obviously there's been a big drive to recruit 20% more coppers, and indeed loads and loads of kids have been applying, and I'm afraid they come from the snowflake generation. Turns out that when they get in a car chase in a police car, they get sick. Their parents are always ringing up the inspectors to say he's too late at work, why don't you let him come home, or you can't make him work today, it's his birthday. And at the first sign of trouble, violence, these kids run away. So these are our new copper recruits. It's a big problem.
I mean, unbelievable, isn't it? It really is.
Good talk.
Hot talk. Bold talk. Talk radio.
Listen on your smart speaker.
Watch it live on your smart TV.
The world headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.